Hello, how is everyone doing? This tier list is going to be the ranking of the first 7 Five Nights at Freddy's games. The main reason I am not ranking games after that is because I haven't played them and I personally do not care too much about them. Also, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you like these tier list videos, please leave a like. Now let's get into it. Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 deserves S tier because it takes the original concept and pushes it to its limits without losing control. The removal of doors forces the player to stay active at all times, creating a constant sense of vulnerability. There is almost no downtime, which keeps anxiety high throughout every night. The gameplay mechanics are layered in a way that feels overwhelming at first but becomes incredibly rewarding once mastered. Managing the Freddy mask, flashlight, cameras, and the music box all at once requires focus and quick decision-making. Every mechanic feels essential, and mistakes feel earned rather than unfair. The animatronics are some of the most unsettling in the series. The toy designs look friendly on the surface, but feel deeply wrong when they move. The withered animatronics add visual horror and unpredictability, reinforcing the feeling that the building is unsafe. From a story perspective, this game massively expanded the lore while still keeping things mysterious. It introduced important concepts and events that would shape the entire timeline. The hidden details and minigames made players want to dig deeper, cementing its legendary status. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 is also an S tier for me. Five Nights at Freddy's 4 earns S tier by reinventing how fear works in the series. By removing cameras entirely, the game forces players to rely on sound and intuition. This design choice makes the horror more personal and immersive than ever before. The gameplay is slow, tense, and punishing in a way that feels intentional. Listening closely for breathing and movement turns every second into a test of nerves. Even small mistakes can lead to instant failure, making success feel incredibly satisfying. The nightmare animatronics are among the most terrifying designs in the franchise. Their exaggerated teeth, glowing eyes, and distorted shapes feel more like manifestations of fear than physical enemies. They perfectly match the dreamlike setting of the game. Narratively, the game is intentionally vague, but that ambiguity became one of its strengths. It sparked endless theories and discussions within the community. Its emotional undertones and symbolic storytelling make it one of the most memorable entries in the series. The original Five Nights at Freddy's sadly falls short of S tier. The original Five Nights at Freddy's earns a tier for laying the groundwork for everything that followed. Its simple mechanics are easy to understand but difficult to master. The limited power system creates natural tension without overwhelming the player. The horror comes from anticipation rather than constant action. Watching the cameras and noticing subtle changes builds dread slowly. The fear of not knowing when an animatronic will move is what makes the experience so effective. The animatronics themselves are iconic and instantly recognizable. Their slow, deliberate movements feel unnatural and threatening. The simplicity of their behavior actually enhances the fear instead of limiting it. While the story is minimal on the surface, it is deeply intriguing. Newspaper clippings and background details hint at something much darker beneath the gameplay. Its impact on horror gaming and internet culture cannot be overstated. Five Nights at Freddy, Sister Location is also A. Five Nights at Freddy, Sister Location earns A tier for its ambition and willingness to change the formula. It moves away from the single-room setup and introduces more cinematic storytelling. This makes the experience feel fresh and narrative-driven. Each night offers different mechanics, preventing the gameplay from becoming repetitive. Some sections focus on timing, others on movement or observation. While this variety can be divisive, it keeps players engaged and curious. The animatronics are more advanced and expressive than in previous games. They speak, manipulate, and deceive, making them feel more alive. This adds a psychological layer to the horror that earlier games only hinted at. The story is much more direct and character-focused. It reveals major lore elements and pushes the overarching narrative forward in a significant way. Even if not everyone prefers its style, its influence on the series is undeniable. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is a B tier. Five Nights at Freddy's 3 lands in B tier due to its strong atmosphere but less balanced gameplay. The idea of facing a single, intelligent threat is compelling and unique. However, it changes the type of fear from panic to long-term stress. The system management mechanics are central to the experience. Audio lures, ventilation, and camera errors must all be handled carefully. While this adds strategy, it can sometimes feel repetitive during longer sessions. The horror attraction setting is creative and filled with unsettling visual details. Flickering lights, distorted sounds, and hallucinations create a sense of decay. The environment itself feels haunted by the past. Story-wise, this game is extremely important. It explores the legacy of earlier events and introduces a major antagonist. Despite gameplay flaws, its narrative weight keeps it relevant and memorable. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator sits in C tier because of its uneven execution. The management simulation during the day is surprisingly deep and engaging. However, it doesn't always blend smoothly with the horror elements. The nighttime sections can be genuinely tense, but their quality varies. Some encounters feel carefully designed, while others feel abrupt or unclear. This inconsistency affects the overall of the game. The visual style is simple, which works for the simulation aspect but weakens the horror at times. Still, certain animatronics and moments manage to stand out and create fear effectively. Narratively, the game delivers one of the strongest endings in the series. It ties together multiple story threads in a satisfying way. Even with gameplay issues, its story significance cannot be ignored. Ultimate Custom Night is a D tier. Ultimate Custom Night is placed in D tier because it is designed almost entirely for experienced players. New or casual players may find it overwhelming and frustrating. The learning curve is extremely steep. The customization options are impressive, allowing players to create nearly endless combinations. However, managing so many mechanics at once often feels more exhausting than frightening. The game leans heavily toward stress instead of suspense. Atmosphere takes a back seat to challenge in this entry. While there are familiar sounds and visuals, the sense of immersion is weaker than in earlier games. It feels more like a test of endurance than a horror experience. Although it contains important dialogue and lore elements, they are secondary to the gameplay. As a result, it feels more like a bonus or epilogue than a core installment. It's meaningful for fans but not essential for everyone. This is my list. Make sure to comment your own list and keep it civil. This is just my personal opinion. Thanks for watching.